Hi, everybody. This is Devin. Just wanted to record a quick video. I saw, um, I should say, listened to a video on the Dave Cullen show. He's somebody in the sphere of YouTubers like The Critical Drinker, Nerdrotic, Yellow Flash, Ryan Shaw. There's a smattering of really thoughtful, in my opinion, highly intelligent commentary on the state of the culture in the United States right now. Now we're talking about, you know, Star Wars fans, comic book fans, video gamers, right? But now we find ourselves in our, 30s and want to provide some value to the marketplace. And interestingly enough, we've noticed by and large, all of us, the quality of the entertainment and by extension, the values promoted to children has dropped off a cliff. So I want to play this clip from the Dave Cullen show. I highly recommend his channel as well as the other channels that I just recommend mentioned prior as well. Um, and hopefully you can find the kind of value that I found from listening to these folks review, movies and TV shows as they come out critically. But Dave Cullen, I think, hits the nail on the head here in this like minute and a half clip about what kind of has been my thesis for my channel. You're not getting the greatest production value on my channel, and I apologize, but I've been passionate about men's mental health, specifically for young men, for many, many years now, given what I've gone through in getting onto kind of the right path, if you will. And I think that the larger tides of the culture are culpable in this issue and are in large part to blame. So, without further ado, let's have a listen to what Dave Cullen has to say.
I think it's fair to say that there's a great many maladies and crises facing the people of the West right now. One of them is most certainly the issue of the mental health of young people, which I believe has been negatively impacted by decades of social engineering, the breakdown of the family, disruption of gender relations, promotion of degeneracy, a loss of spirituality, the loss of a shared identity and community for people of the West, promotion of mindless consumerism and hedonism, the devaluing of our culture, extremely unfavourable socio-economic conditions, and most definitely a sense of atomization, deracination, and a loss of meaning. So, a lot of the new Hollywood productions are not providing young men or women and boys and girls with strong role models to learn any kind of real world valuable lessons from. Because culture is ultimately the story we tell ourselves about ourselves, it does matter. It is important for a people to have cultural stories and archetypes that speak about who we are, who we want to be, and what we value.
Okay, so in stark contrast to Dave Cullen, more power to you, my man. Uh, the quality of my videos are sorely lacking. I realized that quite quickly in listening to the clip that I just loaded to iMovie. But in all seriousness, I was flabbergasted at the litany of reasons that the West is in trouble cognitively. And I've just been at a loss to articulate these reasons so eloquently. And it's such a pleasure to hear somebody say what you've been trying to say for so long, so well, with so few words, right? So I just want to reiterate, Dave estimates, and I agree with him wholeheartedly, that one of the reasons we're seeing a rise, and I've posited that there's kind of two poles to this kind of antisocial, self-destructive behavior. You either get the, there is no God, depressive, nihilistic, uh, worldview that can lead to drug addiction and self-destructive behavior. But on the other side, you get, um, if you look at this as some kind of, uh, you know, um, polarity, hyper materialist, rationalist, reductionist, intellectual, vain narcissism, right? And they're both terrible. What we need is selflessness and self sacrifice and honor and duty and respect. And the culture teaches that not at all now, right? And at least from the world that I grew up in as a 36-year-old to now the world that people are growing up in today, today's world pushes a person to those two poles where I'm old enough to remember, GI Joe and Captain Planet and the Power Rangers, and the idea of coming together as a selfless individual to join a group to fight existential evil. The hero's journey of overcoming difficult, introspective battles, and to learn that with great responsibility, um, great power can be gained, or the more popular way of saying it obviously is with great power comes great responsibility. That was the lifeblood of Spider-Man, right? And nowadays, and this is all going towards the rest of the video from Dave Cullen. So please, if you found his minute clip interesting, I suggest you watch that video. I should put a link to it in this video, in the comment, or in the description rather. That nowadays the kind of the feminist superhero is perfect, has always been perfect. The only thing that she need accomplish is tear down the oppressive patriarchy and those holding her back, and then she'll be all powerful. And that just is a terrible message, ostensibly to teach children, right? You just get disagreeable, self-righteous, arseholes. What you want is somebody that's going to be humble and think critically about their decision-making process and learn how to take on responsibility for the betterment of their, self, and then by extension, family, community, city, state, who knows, nation, right? I just, I just am taken aback at how thoughtful this list is. So Dave cites the social engineering that's taken place over the last several decades in the West, the breakdown of the family, the disruption of gender relations. I mean, gosh, I can stop there and expand upon those. I heard this lady that was speaking out against kind of the frauds that had been perpetrated by BLM. I can't remember her name right now, it's with a C. But anyway, she was a former proponent of BLM, and I'm not like pro or anti BLM. I don't really give a shit. But she was saying how she grew up with the Winslows and the Huxtables, and these really profoundly positive, family oriented Black shows for children, right? They were family oriented. There was responsible parents. There was a loving environment for the children. This is what was being shown to young people, 25 years ago. And now there's like love and hip hop. It's all about the individual and being famous and money and multiple sexual partners and things. These things that are objectively socially degenerative, right? Break down to the family. The disruption of gender relations, right? That goes without saying. We're having this whole debate in the West, like insane people, about the very idea of male and female. Like, I mean, I can't even. Promotion of degeneracy, right? Again, this idea that going against the grain and living for oneself is somehow valuable and valiant, as opposed to being a family man or a homemaker, right? Like that's no longer held up as virtuous, which is to our detriment as a society, in my opinion. I think it's self-evident, but certainly in my opinion. Loss of spirituality, right? I was born and raised in the Bay Area of California, a very soulless, spiritless, secular place. And it's only since I've grown up to have my own family and we live in Oregon now, and I've come to realize the importance of a spiritual practice. You know, whether it's surfing or skiing or going to church on Sunday, I think spirituality is absolutely indispensable, in my opinion, for a healthy worldview and healthy spirit. Frankly, loss of shared identity, right? I've said this a lot of times, trying to spur an interesting conversation. I've yet to have that conversation, but in conversation, I've often heard myself say, you know, we don't have a shared national narrative in the United States anymore, right? In World War II, I wasn't born then. I was born in 1986, but from what I understand, in World War II, there was a very collective understanding of what it was to be an American at that time, right? And that's the reason that the baby boomers were handed the greatest economic and social boom of the last 100 years, because our nation, that's now looked at by liberal elites and kind of counterculturists as some kind of evil place, was really a bastion of hope against the scourge of Nazism, and we really accomplished something amazing in those years, and everybody in this place felt a part of that, and the baby boomers were given that and kind of squandered it, in my opinion, because everybody had to be, a billionaire and a genius, and everybody had to be special, as opposed to just coming together. We can do something special, through hard work and sacrifice. And I think as people get older, they realize that that's where it's at, not this, I'm great, hear me roar kind of thing. It's, I'm going to produce the best thing that I can with the help of others, or I'm going to help others to produce something of value, loss of community, that goes without saying. We're a commuter culture in this country. We don't have town squares like they do in Europe. I've felt really impulsively drawn to things like jujitsu and going to the sauna, and finding groups of people that I can be myself with and push myself and feel that shared. I joined the National Guard. I get something really deep from that sense of community that I was indoctrinated to think as a young person I didn't need, but as a social creature, I certainly have recognized that I do. Even these other YouTubers that may never know who I am, I feel connected to them. That's a great feeling. Dave Cullen goes on hedonism, right? This idea that live for now, pleasure's all that matters. Any drug addict will tell you that doesn't go in a positive direction. It's a game of limiting returns. Promotion of mindless consumerism, right? Anybody in the I can't watch TV anymore. I just have streaming, and I just watch a ton of YouTube, as I think it's become abundantly clear from listening to me. I find YouTube to be the best platform for content, because I can tailor what I'm interested in. The algorithm gets an idea of what I like. We could talk about algorithm, virtue or you know otherwise later, but daytime television is a joke. I can't watch commercials at all. It's just like programming, and I think more and more people are finding that out to be the case. And the last three things that he touches on are devaluing of our culture. I think we have too many ingrateful people nowadays. We've been given this unbelievable land of roads and electricity and an agricultural system that works, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry thinks that they can save the world by recycling a plastic bag, and that everything that came before them is somehow evil, and not in fact built upon the backs of hardworking people that came and worked and sacrificed and loved their kids. And this just holier than thou mentality of kind of the new generation is something that is extraordinarily self-defeating, and I think that it's an experiment that will go awry in that there's no soul to the cultural narrative uh, in this day and age. Um, and the last two bullet points that I have that Dave Cullen mentioned there are this sense of atomization, right? My I may not be interpreting this wholly correct, but this idea that we're all isolated and that we're not connected, which is poppycock. We all, anybody that's lived any amount of life and loved and lost or what have you knows that we're all connected and we all affect one another. Um, and this idea that life is top down as opposed to bottom up, I like to say that we're some sort of super organism. If you think about emergent theory, you get chemistry and then biology and then the prokaryotic cell and then the eukaryotic cell and then a tissue and an organ system and an organism and an organization and an economy, and just at every level of complex of every level of complexity, a new order of intelligence emerges, and we're all part of that. And this idea that me myself, I'm somehow separate from that is just silly. I think it's just delusion. And I think that we kind of need to surrender to that reality and believe in the possibility for a brighter tomorrow and put our heads down and work hard, and find the value of those narratives that we've been losing. And that's why, again, I like these YouTubers that I've mentioned: Critical Drinker, Nerdrotic, Ryan Shaw, Yellow Flash, Dave Cullen. There are these voices on YouTube that are getting popular, I think for good reason, because they're speaking out that we need these positive role models. We need these positive cultural narratives to bring us together as a society, to educate the children correctly, to make strong, resilient, critical thinkers that are humble and hardworking and not holier than thou, and self-sacrificial, and that believe in something larger than them and not their own greatness as their primary modus operandi. So anyway, that's all I got for you today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. I'm going to work on the production value of my videos, but I just was so taken by Dave Cullen's video. In like a minute, he touched on things that I'd been trying to articulate for years. So I wanted to make this quick video, and hats off to Dave. And thank you guys for watching. Love you.